Hey, everybody, I'm live. Welcome to a Sunday morning cup of Ray from down here at Krabby's on the Pass. I always say it, I start the show out every time. If you have already gotten that first cup of coffee, grab that second cup. If you've got that second cup, grab a third cup and strap them in. Get the caffeine load on or whatever it is you find your Sunday morning, you find yourself doing, because I'm going to go ahead and bring this cat right in. The Dolphins are in town this week. The interstate rivals, the Miami Dolphins, are in town. Going to scrimmage over at One Buck Place for a couple of days, and then they're going to play on Saturday night over at Raymond James in the first preseason game of the year. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my guy in right now. Number one in your program, number one in someone's heart, my Dolphin guy, Mr. Rock. Hey, Rock, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, sir. Doing good. Hey, I got my cup of coffee right here.
I got my Coke Zero, but so let me get this straight. Why don't we just take the NFL out of the equation? You give us your first next year and your third in 2024, and we'll give you the rights to Tom Brady after the season. How does that sound for you, brother?
Man, honestly, I probably would give you that for Tom Brady. But our owner's an idiot. But all he does is ruin it for us fans. To be honest, I mean, he did something that he should be punished for, not the fans. So because he made an idiotic move, and yes, I get it. He's trying to do what's best for his organization, but he's doing it the wrong way.
Right.
Like, you had to have known you were going to get caught. You've been caught like many times before. He got in trouble with the John Harbaugh thing. We still had Tony Sperano hired on.
Yes.
And you're going to go fly over to San Francisco and talk to Harbaugh, not thinking that no one's going to know. Like, come on, man.
It harkens back to the 90s or late 80s and early 90s with DeBartolo and the Niners, and you always felt like, he was doing whatever it took. But you and I spoke of this $1.5 million penalty to Stephen Ross. 5 or 6 weeks, he can't be representing the team as the owner. I think he's going to ask Daniel Snyder's wife to come down here and also be the face of this franchise. I think that's the silliest thing in the world to tell an owner. You can't represent the team for 5 weeks. Okay, so I'll stay on my super yacht and watch, still get the streams of the game. But at the end of the day, you're right. When you take away a first and a third as a penalty for the teams, because they can't penalize players. The NFLPA and the NFL, they're very adamant about the fact that players can go around and shop themselves wherever they want. And in this day and age with name, image, and likeness and the transfer portals in college, I mean, you're telling me like in the transfer portal, take college, for example, these kids are all of a sudden jumping into a portal. The rules specify you're not supposed to have been approached in advance, but Rock, as well as I do, that these kids, they're jumping into this portal because they've already been told by their agents these days already at the NCAA level that there's a team waiting for them. There's a situation. They're going to be able to better improve themselves, better improve their performance or their situation, and then possibly improve their stock value. I don't blame the players for that, but then when you carry it to the professional level and you take away $1.5 million in 5 weeks, but at the end of the day, though, it is the fans that have to pay when you take away a first in 2023 and a fourth in 2024, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they should give a harsher punishment. 1.5 million for Ross is chump change, like into the grand scheme of things. Man's a billionaire. Like, if you're really going to punish him, you need to take some more away from him. You need to take stock out of Miami Dolphins organization, lose some of his ownership, maybe give it to somebody else. Maybe the NFL takes more of an ownership than he does. Maybe that hurts him a little bit more. But it needs to go more towards him. What I feel like, and I think his business partner, I can't remember his name right now.
Beal?
Beal, yes.
Beal, the part
he's
ownership.
Suspended for a whole year. So I'm like, wow, hold up. How is he suspended for a year, but Ross isn't? And Beal's supposed to be our future.
You know why, though? Because he's the Michigan connection. He's the one that's always on Tom's six when they go to the Kentucky Derby or they're out there at the Grand Prix or what have you. And, let's go ahead and let's work it back to, we talk about the integrity of the game. If let's just say team John Doe or whatever, any team, you just signed a big first round contract or your second contract for a big player. You gave him, 150 million guaranteed. And the last thing you can afford as an organization is to let the players in the locker room and the fan base hear that player is going and shopping themselves elsewhere because suddenly they realize there's a situation that might be better for them on the other side. And don't forget that grass is not always greener.
Yep.
But you talk about the integrity of the game, and it's just because it came up with those Dolphins this last week. Brian Flores also made the accusations that he was being offered incentives, $100,000, I believe it was, to lose games a couple of years back to put the Dolphins in a higher draft stocking order. The NFL kind of waxed over that. And of course, that's probably maybe because that case is still open with Brian Flores. But I would pose that there's a lot more of a possibility of damaging the integrity of the game to have even whispers of teams throwing games or being offered incentive to coaches and fans or players, I'm sorry, to lose games than you do it. Because here's the thing. If Stephen Ross makes the phone call, calls Tom Brady back in January here, he's still under contract with the Buccaneers. He was going to retire. I don't have a problem with that because you know what's going on. You know, they have the same agent. I mean, Yee is this, or the agent for Tom Brady is the same agent for Sean Payton. I believe these talks are going on. The problem is when they press it too hard, when they're in the marina, on the boat, trying to get Flores on the boat to meet with Tom Brady. Now you're crossing many lines. And of course, the NFL had to put their foot down. I still don't like the judgment. I still don't like the punishment. It doesn't fit the crime.
No, because it's funny how this comes out the day after the Deshaun Watson situation. So it feels like they already made the decision on this. They probably weren't going to make it public, or at least not as public.
Right.
Since they were getting such a bad image from the whole Deshaun Watson 6-game thing, that they're like, you know what, we need to push this out now. So they can look at this, so they can stop looking at the Deshaun Watson issue. So I really do feel like they're punishing the Dolphin organization as a whole instead of the ownership, because ownership really shouldn't have too much to deal with the ins and outs of the Dolphins organization. It doesn't.
That's why you have a GM. That's
exactly.
why you got a general manager, right?
What it's hurting is the GM. What it's hurting is the coach. What it's hurting is me as a fan. I didn't do that. Why is it my fault? Why are you punishing me? Because the owner, just because he's an owner, because he has millions of dollars or billions of dollars,
right,
and he decides to do something stupid. How is that my fault as a fan? I'm following this team, but you're going to punish me. And
right. And you're still going to make your money on concessions. You bring in Tyreek Hill. You put him with Jalen Waddle. You got Tua coming along. You've got a defense that looks quite formidable, great secondary, an improving defensive line. And, you know, so you and I talked about this. We had to open the show kind of tongue-in-cheek talking about it because it was in the news this week. But let's go ahead and get right to this matchup. Brock, I've never been more, as much as I've always, and I've detested, and I mean detested, paying full price for those preseason tickets. Every year you get your season ticket package. You divide it by the number of games, the money you pay. You figure out how much it costs. There's no not refunds, but there's no discounts for preseason. It's pretty much just pay up and shut up. But when they started going these scrimmages, because don't these teams get a lot more out of these 2 and 3 days where they can do matchups and scrimmage each other than they even do out of a dress rehearsal on Saturday night?
Yes, they do. You're going to see your number ones go against their number ones. You're going to see your number twos go against their number twos, and vice versa.
Yes.
Because in the game, you might see Tua for a play, maybe, or a series, maybe. You won't see Tom Brady. So you're not going to get the full thing of it. The practices, that's where you're going to see it. And I wish as fans we could see it more. I don't know if it's going to be open to the public. So we're not going to see, and I would love to see them because you are going to get the most out of it.
Those matchups, right?
Yeah, okay, so let's go with Jalen Phillips versus Tristan Wirfs. That's going to be awesome to see. Let's see our center right now versus Villa.
Vita Vea up the middle, and then also Akeem Hicks in there. And I'll tell you, one of the matchups that I'm most excited as a follower of the Buccaneers is you're bringing, as I mentioned, Tyreek Hill, the Cheetah, and Jalen Waddle. And, of course, Mike McDaniels, he's known for two things. He runs a wide zone running game, and he runs a version of that West Coast style offense. He's been on Kyle Shanahan's hip going back over a decade. He's an offensive I don't say guru. It's his first head coaching job, but I think we could say that Mike McDaniel's an offensive genius. He definitely figures that out. And one of the things the Buccaneers in 2021 that we wanted to see more improvement out of coming into this season was Devin White and of course Levante, but our linebackers covering across the middle, because as Shaq Barrett and Joe Tryon Shayanka are applying the pressure as our defensive line is blowing up the middle, it's those crossing patterns. It's those short little dink and dunk passes that'll then set up the longer passes. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to this week. And that's why I love the couple of days of scrimmage over at One Buck Place, is because, there won't be as much contact. There will be some. You've been hitting the same guys. Remember they used to always say, Rock, we're just happy to be able to hit someone else. Well, they've only been in camp for a week and a half. The pads have only been out for 7 days. But I love the fact that you can take your offensive sets that Mike McDaniel's going to put out there Jasecki, the tight end, and Mostard, and who's your running back?
Chase Edmonds and
Chase
Raheem
Edmonds.
Mostert. Because I was actually going to say to you, yeah,
Yes.
your linebacker's going to have to watch Waddle and Tyreek, but what happens if maybe Chase Edmonds and Mostert are on the field at the same time as both of them? So who are they going to cover?
You got five. That's five options right there. If you got a
That,
tight end for
that's a
your passing.
track team. Like, good luck.
Also, though, and I'll back it up on the other side too, is that Buccaneers get Julio Jones, we got Russ Gage, we got Chris Godwin out there practicing, and Mike Evans. Still don't. The Buccaneers are going to we already have a logjam at the wide receiver position, and you go against that. Give me some of the names out of that Dolphins secondary, because you've got some not also rans running back there, don't you?
We got Byron Jones, not Byron.
Right?
Oh my gosh, X. Can't remember his name. Jeez.
X.
X. I'm just calling him X right now. Right now, he has actually been shutting down Tyreek Hill. Those two have been battling all training camp. So Good luck going against him. We have Noga Igbognagani and Trill Williams, a name you probably haven't heard of, but he's a second-year player. Noah Igbognagani is in his third year. Byron Jones is actually hurt right now, so he hasn't been playing all training camp, but hopefully we get him back week 1. But it's actually a good test because Noah's had an up and down first 3 years. So, and he was a first-round pick. So we're hoping with him actually doing decent against some of our receivers that it translates against you guys. Now we can finally test out, okay, let's see how you do against, what's his name, Godwin, as well as Mike Evans, even Julio Jones. If you're doing so well against our guys, let's see if that translates against the Bucs and actually works out. Trill Williams, another one. Don't forget Javon Holland.
How about Xavier Howard?
Xavier Howard.
Will he play all? I'm sure he'll probably be at least getting that in the scrimmages this week. And of course, he's one of them shutdown corners. I like that kid.
He's probably gonna be all up in Mike Evans. Is he hurt, Mike Evans, or no? Is he okay?
And they took him off the field with the hamstrings. Mike's got that history with the hamstring. I don't want to say every year, but it seems like usually around camp. Of course, they saw Tristan Wirfs get taken off the field with cramps last week for the hamstrings. I obviously don't want to push it. I would think in a preseason game, Mike Evans, there's no way he's dressing. But if he's hydrated, he's back, and there's no lingering effects from those hamstrings or those, from the tightness, I would not be shocked to see him out there running some 7-on-7s. How much we see, I don't know. We are in a position where we've got a lot of other receivers that are just trying to make this team. So I'd probably a coin toss at this point. I have not heard that he's not going to be participating this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he is.
Probably see more Chris Godwin and Julio Jones, if anything else. Actually, I'm kind of intrigued by Julio. I really do hope he has a bounce back here, man, because if he does stay healthy, he's going to be doing tremendous things for you. As well as Tom Brady loves his veteran receivers. So Julio knows what to do. He doesn't need to do much, and to play with the GOAT, I mean, that's going to be amazing.
I'm sorry, I was going to say Tim Haynes, first comment of the morning. Tim, congratulations, first comment of the day. And I want to go ahead, Rock. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to say, share this show. And I've got merch. I've got a Bucs Report shirt. Now, here's what I'm going to do, guys and girls. Share the show. I appreciate it. Just get the love out there. We're talking Miami, and we're talking Dolphins and the Bucs matchups this week in the scrimmages and the preseason on Saturday night. But share the show, and then I go back. I get all the names of everyone who shared the show. We do a random raffle, and then if I get you, I'll DM you, get your information, and the Bucs Report shirt will be on the way. And you're included in that, Rock.
All right.
You can
I'll take the Bucs Report shirt.
We'll put Dolphins on the back for you. All right, my friend?
I'm cool with that.
But what were you? So go ahead, give me some comments. Anyone out there? Real quick, I'll just go ahead and let me give you this coffee talk. I'll give you a topic. What matchups are you looking forward to most this week? Is it the Buccaneers defensive line? How about the Buccaneers offensive line now with Hainsey locking it down at center with Nick Leverett, and you also have Shaq Mason over there, and maybe an Aaron Stinney or who you got working over there. The Bucs have to answer a few things and also figure out exactly how locked down we are on that O-line. And tell me about that Dolphins defensive line there, Rock, because you guys, I like Jalen Phillips is a kid out of Miami. Am I right? The outside linebacker.
Raekwon Davis is
Davis out of Bama. He's a beast. He's a beast. I didn't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Christian, go ahead.
Oh, Christian Wilkins has actually had the best camp out of everybody.
I saw that.
He's our 3-4 defensive end. He has been in the backfield. He's been stuffing run plays. He is everywhere. He's looking like that Clemson star we picked up a couple of years back, 4 years ago, doing splits. He's been jamming out in training camp, busting a move. He flashed the the fans with his abs that he has now. We
Yes.
also have what is his name? Jelon Jenkins. He's been monstering it one on one, so watch out for him. We got, and then since we won a 3-4 defense, our defensive ends are typically our linebackers. So
Yes.
we have Manuel Agba, we have Van Ginkel, we have Jalen Phillips, we have Jerome Baker.
What is
Like
it with you guys in the names? How about this cat, Benito Jones? Tell me about
Benito,
Benito. It's like he's a throwaway character. Don't do anything.
he hasn't
Yeah.
done much. I wouldn't even put him on there. In real honestly, I would
Whoa.
probably put Zach. Oh, Zach Sealer too.
Are you breaking news here on Cup of Ran on Sunday morning? Are you saying Benito is finito?
I would say Benito's Benito. You haven't heard much from him, but maybe that's a good thing too that you don't hear too much from him as well. I would even say Channing Tindall is a good one because if his speed out of Georgia, third, fourth round pick from us, or actually first pick out of that draft last year. He covered. He covered who he was. The guy from a wide receiver that we picked up out of Dallas. Give me a second. Cedric Wilson Jr. He went toe to toe with Cedric Wilson
Yes.
Jr. And I saw the film. He's fast. I've never seen a linebacker that fast before. So he's going to be intriguing to see.
Tell me about now, Josh Boyer. You guys retained the defensive coordinator. He was under Brian Flores. Of course, he actually had the history going back to New England. He comes from New England. He stays here. So you guys have that. Even though you bring in Mike McDaniel at head coach, you remain consistent at the at defensive position. You guys were like 15th and 16th last year in 2021 in scoring and yards allowed. Not chump change. Of course, the year before you were even locked down a little bit better in these scores at points allowed. But now you got an offense. Now you're talking about maybe a consistent offense, and it's going to take you guys a minute or two because you're talking about an entirely new scheme. But you bring in a Tyreek again and a Jalen Waddle, and then you also bring in Mostert, who has that experience going back to the Niners. And then also with your running backs, I was looking at this. You've also got Sony Michael. I mean, we know what I see. I look at the Dolphins running backs, and the one thing I see, and of course with a West Coast style offense, why would we expect anything different? I start to see that you guys are really putting a premium this year on receptions out of the backfield from that running back position, aren't you?
Yeah, you're going to see, especially with Tua, with they used to call him check down Tua. So, he'll be fine checking it down to the running backs and let them do what they need to do. And
Yes.
I think they're fine with that. I think they're okay with Tua getting the ball out of his hand as quickly as possible and letting the players do what they do best. Mostert, Chase Edmonds, Sonny Michelle. Sonny Michelle will probably be more of a goal line back, anyways. If not Dokes, I don't know if Dokes will even stay on, but it's just so much speed and so many options this year. It blows my mind on the possibilities of this year. I'm not saying we're going to Super Bowl or anything like that because really, at the end of the day, it comes down to our offensive line and Tua. How is our offensive line? And that's like, to me personally, the biggest thing against our matchup. How's our offensive line do? How do they do with your defensive line? And how does Tua stack up with your secondary?
Also, you guys are looking at you got a couple of cats. I'll go ahead and give their names here because they're Alec Ingold and John Lovett. You got two guys you're looking to try to get that fullback position again with that West Coast style passing offense, and of course they had Januzek or Januski or whatever that fullback out in 49ers. You bring in Alec Ingold and John Lovett, and you guys are looking for that fullback, and you start talking about a West Coast style offense. Now I don't know, Rock, if this was just before your time or if it was well before your time, but having played the game yourself and being a student of the game, you talk about a West Coast style offense with a fullback and a halfback. I start to think of the 49ers, a Tom Rathman and a Roger Craig. And that's what you guys are going to be looking for down there as well, coming out of South Beach. And, it just kind of fits in with the whole mold of the advantage we have playing down here in Florida. A couple of Florida teams in the Miami Dolphins and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You start grinding it out. You get a fullback in there that can block and also can run, but you're opening up that short passing game. And it's going to take them a minute to get it going. But, man, when they do get it going, you get that vertical, that run scheme going, which for anyone out there doesn't know, a wide zone running game basically means you got all your offensive linemen going in the same direction, right? So you're pulling off the line, everyone's blocking down left, everyone's blocking down right, and then the running backs have more of an option to pick up that hole. And that also goes right to the whole check down Tua narrative. You're going to give Tua a chance to, if it's not a handoff to a running back, but if it's an actual pass play, you're going to give him more of a read for the close receptions out of the backfield. And then here's the bury the lead part. You bring everyone into the box to try to cover that short game. Then you got Waddle and the Cheetah going deep. It could be dangerous, and that's the matchup I'm looking most forward to with the
Yeah.
Buccaneers defense this week. Is not to be suckered in. We got another year of veteran leadership in our secondary. The linebackers covering the short game, but trying to keep the Dolphins, even if it's a 7-on-7 drill. The cats are going to get open. It's why they're the best receivers in the league. But I want to see this Bucs secondary lock them down. I want to see a Sean Murphy bunting. Hey, I didn't ask you. You and I talked about it. Is anyone going to throw the deuces this week? You think with Tyreek coming back and scrimmaging? And if they do, isn't it going to be a lighthearted thing, or do you think it could get a little heated over there at One Buck Place?
I don't know. They were doing the Antonio Brown earlier, so I don't know if you know about that. That's the new trend that Antonio Brown does rapping game now. So him and Waddle were doing that. So we'll see. It might be something new now.
I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Brown shows up Saturday night over at Raymond James, and I don't know if the Buccaneers have a cease and desist to not let that cat in the stadium.
Yeah,
Definitely not going to let him on the sideline.
I'm probably not going to show. He's got bigger things to do now, I guess. So,
hey, I'm sorry, Cyril Lobo in here asks, what about the Dolphin tight ends? And I already talked about Gesicki. They don't give him that big contract. Of course, he didn't get that big contract before the season, but the tight end's going to be a position that they're looking for. I got right here. Let's see. I had the Dolphins tight ends. I am sorry, I don't have them, so I apologize. I have to get back
it's Mike Gesicki, Hunter Long, and Durham Smythe.
Okay.
Durham Smythe is actually probably our best overall tight end. Not the best, but overall in regards to blocking and catching. Mike Gesicki.
Nobody's George Kittle.
No,
not yet.
But that's what they're trying with
Gesicki, right?
Gesicki right now. He's been on the line every practice right now. Like, you don't hear many catches from him because I think they're trying to see if he can be a better tight end, like an actual tight end. He's been a receiver for the most part for us for the past couple of years now. So they want to see, is Gesicki going to be that guy? So he hasn't been catching the ball lately. You've been seeing it more from Tanner Connor, who's like an undrafted tight end. So there you probably will see Gesicki just blocking because they know he can catch. That everybody knows he's phenomenal at catching.
Yeah, he's a gamer and he can catch.
Actually block because he's on the franchise tag, and if he's no use to us, he'll probably be gone or he'll be traded by sometime this year.
What's a franchise tag for a tight end pulling? I think maybe between like
10 million.
10 million? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, Buccaneers tight ends, of course, we got Cam Brate, and this isn't all of them, but of course, Kyle Rudolph. You got, no, O.J. Howard. He's a Buffalo Bill. He's a Buffalo Bill. But you got Kyle Rudolph, the Bucs pickup. Love that pickup. You got Cade Otton and Ko Keefe, the two rookies that are coming in. I love this cat, Bug Howard. I mean, if you're going to be a tight end, what a name for a tight end, Bug Howard. And then a J.J. Howland. The Buccaneers have some things to figure out because, we've got Cade Otton, maybe more of an all-around type of tight end. Ko Keefe's more of a blocking tight end. But buried to lead, Cam Brate's the veteran leadership on this team at the tight end position. And I think 2022 is going to see Cam Brate get a lot of love, and I think he deserves it.
He does. I thought he was – honestly, I didn't even know why you drafted O.J. Howard during that draft when you had Cameron Brate, who just came off of a great season with what's his name? The guy's in the Saints right now.
Jameis Winston.
Crab legs. Yes,
James. He used to hook up a lot with Fitzpatrick, and I mean, Cam Brate, just a smart player, and I always say smart. And when I say smart, I think Harvard, and I think, but no, really smart player. Gets open. Will do some of the dirty work, but we were worried about, of course, when we had Kyle Rudolph coming in here, and Kyle Rudolph's probably next to Cam, your all-around tight end, but he's definitely a big blocking body to get in there and mix it up. But a lot of questions to be answered, and that's why I was really excited even before when I first saw the schedule come out and I realized the Dolphins were that first team, and then they announced almost immediately that the Dolphins would be coming to town and they'd get that 2 or 3 days of scrimmage. We've seen it a lot with the Titans because John Robinson, the general manager with the Titans, used to be with the Buccaneers organization, has a great relationship with Jason Light. I like when these teams can get together. They're going to get a little testy. They're professionals. They're men. They're alphas. But I love the fact that you can, run it again. Run it again. And the other team will even know you're running it again, but you run it until you get it right. And it's against different players, different reactions. And it to me, again, a lot more value in that in the scrimmages than you do in that Saturday night dress rehearsal. That's the glitz and glamour, and everybody's the helmets are polished and everything. Let me ask you something, Rock. Jump off the subject real quick.
No problem.
How come not that I expect you to know this because I'm coming out of nowhere with this, but you've seen it. There's like 6, 8, maybe 10 teams that are going Oregon Duck style this year. They got the alternate helmets, the orange helmet for the
Mhm.
Bears, or you got the white, and then the Giants are going back. And then you've got like 10 or 12 teams that are announcing color rush jerseys or throwbacks. The Niners were first with they're taking a third stripe and going back to the old two stripes on the sleeves. And then the Giants, they show the blue uniforms they wore back in the 90s. Why Ken, the Buccaneers, why couldn't they get it together in 2022 and wear those throwbacks? Why do you think?
I don't know. That's kind of weird that they wouldn't do that.
Right?
Ownership maybe is lazy, or
Lazy.
like it just makes no sense. So the Dolphins, we're still fighting. Actually, the owner, our coach, just said it a little bit ago that he wants to bring back the old '80s Dolphins logo. So we're still
Ooh,
fighting
Dan
that.
Marino.
Yeah,
Dan
Dan
Marino
Marino.
action.
So
The Marx Brothers.
that will probably come up. But no, it's I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard to change up the uniforms or change up the jerseys or the helmets because the fans love it. Like they love that change of pace, or they hate it because they had that mustard and ketchup game. I think it was you guys were a part of that.
That was the
Uh,
worst. It was the Rams and the Bucks. It was like it
yeah,
was the
yeah,
mustard ketchup game. It
mustard and
was
ketchup
terrible.
game. So maybe they're kind
It
of
looked like hot dogs running around out there.
yeah. So maybe they're a little hesitant on some of those things, but it's still us talking about it. Still, like it. I saw one of the Dolphins jerseys. It was like Miami Vice colors. I'm like, man, that would be cool if we could do that for at least one game. But they're
Yeah.
so stringent on these rules. On oh no, you can't change it. Why? The NBA does it all the time. Like why can't
NBA's got 18 jerseys. You got Golden State, the State, Golden Boys,
yeah,
Golden Showers. I don't know what's going on. They got
yeah,
all kinds of stuff, and they're bringing it in, and it's okay. I mean, too much can be too kitschy. I mean, too much is like that's crazy. And people were on the fence of this because I'd say it's like 60-40, 60% of Bucks fans, especially the old schoolers, a little long
yeah,
in the tooth like myself. Yeah, bring it back because we remember what happened when Hardy Nickerson signed that free agent deal, and all of a sudden Bucko Bruce got because before that it was he's a winking pirate. He's too soft, and there was a lot of teams in the mid '80s and late '80s that were pretty soft. But you bring Nickerson in, you draft John Lynch out of Stanford, you get Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp in '95, and all of a sudden that Bucko Bruce. Of course, we were getting to the uniform changes there in 97,
yeah.
96, but that Bucko Bruce was pretty darn intimidating when number 99 was sitting on top of your quarterback. And I'm going to stop asking this because it's kind of been a drum that I've been beating continuously. But it's like all these teams are getting, because we heard at first it was a global distribution issue with, we're just coming out of COVID and, we can't get enough gas because it's $5 a gallon and we couldn't get the uniforms. And I'm like, come on, it's the same uniforms they were wearing back in '76. Slightly modified. Back then, we were wearing Coleman tents. They were
Mm-hmm.
so hot. But yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. I just at one time what I thought for sure would be the NFL would want to see Tom Brady in a throwback uniform. I'm kind of come around to the fact that there's a higher power, whether it be Tom or the Glaziers or Jason Light. There's a higher power that was just like, look, let's just keep it red and pewter. We'll do a pewter on pewter. We'll change the unis up a little bit, a couple of games, but let's just stay away from that kitschy stuff because we're all about taking care of business, and that means getting out to 57 there in Arizona.
I guess. I think you should start a hashtag, Ray. Hashtag bring back Bruce. Bring back Bruce.
No, because then it's going to be Bruce Arians. He's on a sideline. He's actually coaching the team,
Yeah,
and then it gets really nasty. Speaking of that, Stephen Ross, I don't think this is the suspension for Mr. Ross, the or the majority owner of the Dolphins. If it's the same as the Deshaun Watson thing, then it doesn't kick into the regular season. So I'd like to see. I posted in a Facebook post last night that part of the scrimmage this week is going to include a 3-story cage match, WWE style, between Joel Glazier and Stephen Ross there, and then they're fighting for the rights to Tom Brady. But that was just a little tongue in cheek. But
back on that real quick. Sorry about that.
No, please go ahead.
Ross has one more game suspension than Deshaun Watson.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
He has one more game suspension than Deshaun Watson. So he doesn't come back until October 17th, and he has technically one more game suspension than Deshaun Watson for talking to people.
It made sense to me that if if a player, it's just like it was with Doug Martin a few years back, or these players that are performance enhancing drugs or PEDs or what have you. They get to practice with the team, in the preseason and get their camp on. And then the moment it happened with Jameis, and of course, go back to Jameis and the infamous, the Uber ride. They're out there in Phoenix, 6 years back or 5 years back, and whatever, that was a harassment deal, and he was accused of, or it came around to the fact that he was harassing a driver, lewd and lascivious act, or what have you, and they slapped Jameis for the 3 games. And that, going back to that season, Rock, I don't know if you remember it, but that season, we start off the first 3 weeks of that season. Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick's a quarterback for your Buccaneers. I say yours like it's yours, Rock, but no, for the Buccaneers, comes out blazing. We win in New Orleans.
Yep.
38-35. He puts some merch in Canton, the glove, the shoe.
Yeah.
And then
Deshaun Jackson's shirt. Nice little.
Oh, remember with the little bling?
Yeah.
And biggest mistake the Bucs made that season, biggest mistake was Ryan Fitzpatrick, and comment out here, guys. I see y'all watching. Comment on this if you agree. Ryan Fitzpatrick stubbed his toe a little in game 3. And game 4, they bring Jameis back. Now, here's the problem I have with that. One, if he was actually being punished for something, I still want your team to do all it takes to win. But Ryan Fitzpatrick had been having a really good season up till then. He did have I think it was the Giants, but anyway, week 3, he had a pretty down game. But then after that week 4 game, we had a bye week. And I posed, keep Jameis on the bench until after the bye. One is you'll teach him that lesson for the childish act, whatever he did, what he was accused of doing out there in Arizona. 2 is you stay with the hot hand or the hand that's been in there, and you got a bye week anyway, and then you transition a player in after the bye week. They serve an extra 1-game suspension. You get him in there. They brought Jameis back. He stumbled in that game 4, and they never got their footing the rest of that season. And that was I didn't like that. I said at the time, I was preaching from the choir. I was preaching to the choir then. Let Jameis sit till after the bye week, then you bring him in solid. Give him an extra week to prepare. Let him run with the ones. We see it with
Deshaun. Come back to the Chicago game where both of them were playing terrible.
Yeah, in fact. Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick started that game, and then Jameis comes in, and I said, leave him on the bench. I know they're trying to see what they can do, throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, but no, keep him on the bench, stay with him, and maybe it's just the parent in me. If my son gets, you're on restriction, you and then try to rush him back at the end, and I make, you know what, you're going to miss that event too, just because it is what it is. We'll bring you back after that. You can't go to Disney, you can go to Busch Gardens, but going back to Deshaun Watson, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. The NFL appeals. Now it goes to Goodell. Of course, he already named the gentleman who's going to make that call. What do you see on this date now, August 7th on Sunday? I said it was going to be 8 games all along, possibly 6. They bring it in at 6. I still think it maybe goes to 8 so the NFL can say, look, we got a little something. But do you think that they could really push it to and possibly go for the full season?
I think they're going for full season. I think they had too much backlash on this, too much. Like that judge did them a disservice of doing 6 games. The judge at least should have done 10, and I think he probably would have had some backlash still. You're going to have backlash either way, but I don't think as much if you would have done 10 games or actually done your due diligence and looked at what the suspensions were given out in the past from the NFL. You have only given out, I think Big Ben only got like a couple games. So, and he only had 1 accuser. He has 30. So to only do 6 games is a slap in the face. And that judge, I know probably Roger Goodell is like, we hired you to do this and you did 6 games.
Yeah. Now I agree with that too. Sue L. Robinson, the retired federal judge. I agree with that because if she'd have came with 10, the NFL is going to do all along whatever they're going to do. They may have said all along, just give them 1 game because we're going for the whole season. But if they came in at 10, I think you're right. The outcry may have not been as much. There's going to be outcry no matter what. Because at the end of the day, he still has shown no remorse for the predatory nature, for the way. And even if you can tell me, even if you could go back and tell me, you could show me 46 statements from these massage therapists, and I know they don't exist because these professionals were doing, whatever. I don't know all the situations, but I know there was some young ladies getting their massage therapy, working on a business. They get a
Yep.
big name client. They're hoping that leads to more big name clients. This is it. This is my way in. These professional athletes will see how great I am at
Yep.
working out those issues they're having, rehabbing them, getting them on
Yep.
a feel better. And then that happens. Still hasn't shown any remorse. And I said all along, if Deshaun Watson's camp would just donate like $10 million to sexual assault crisis hotlines or organizations for people, both men and women, that are maybe find themselves in these situations where they're harassed by predators or predatory nature, even if it's just a hotline and something, then he doesn't have to say, look, I did it. He can just say, look, I know what I'm accused of. I don't feel that I did that, but I want to give this money because there are people out there that are facing these situations. It's not right.
Mhm.
Hashtag see something, say something. The cat hasn't done anything. And at first I thought he was just keeping his mouth shut, and his lawyer was
Yeah.
saying, look, just keep your mouth shut until it all blows over. And now I think, no, whatever suspension he's going to get, he's not going to say a thing. He's going to serve it, and he's going to come back. And Rock, Vegas is going to be chomping at the bit that week. The numbers, the money's going to be flying. It's going to be the most watched game. I've asked people, and
Oh
I'll
yeah.
straw poll you. Are you going to watch that game, that first game he comes back, Deshaun Watson? Not the whole game, but you're going to keep an eye on it, ain't you?
If it's during the time the Dolphins are playing, probably not.
Oh, good call. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
if it,
In all honesty, like I'll probably like what you said. I'll kind of keep an eye on it during commercials. But you know, I hope it's against one of his division rivals. I hope it's honestly. I hope he comes back to Miami Dolphin game. That's what I want. I want him
wow.
coming back during when they face us this year because I want that smoke. I want it. I want it. I want it now. Bank it. Put it down. I don't care what you do. I want to play Deshaun Watson because Coach Flores put us in this position of having that little, piece of candy in front of us. Hey, look, we can have this. Look, we can have this. And we never
Yes.
got it. And he ended up deciding he didn't want to come to us, and that's fine. I think they did a disservice to Tua, anyways. But in that time period, I think I was on Bucs Report, and they asked me,
Yes.
"Do you think you would go after Deshaun Watson, or do you think it happened?" I was like, "Yes, I think it could happen." I've
I
been hearing a
remember
lot
you
of
said
things
that.
that
Yes.
that it could happen, and at that time, you know what? I was all for it. I was like, you know what? He is better than Tua. I'll deal with all the stuff that comes with it. I'm glad we didn't because we look at still what's going on with Deshaun Watson. And it probably would have been worse if he came to Miami. It always seems like things get worse in Miami. Like they hand down harsher things in Miami than they do anybody else. But maybe I'm biased.
That's it. It's because they got those boats. Because
Yeah, yeah.
you get those wide receivers. You get them. They go out and you get the Giants receivers out on a boat, and then they forget about that playoff game or that big game they got coming up. Cyril Lobo says, "How was Big Ben penalized back then? It was 2 games. I believe it was 2 games. It was after he was accused of."
Mhm.
I'm not going to get into the whole mixing of it. He was accused of attacking a young lady in a bathroom stall at a nightclub.
Yep.
Her accusation was, and I said back then, if anybody saw him near or in a women's room, just like Rich Dalrymple, the executive for the Dallas Cowboys, who boops barcoded into
Yep.
the cheerleaders' locker room when the men's room was 10 feet away. If you went in there, I don't care what your excuse was. I don't care if they were having a beer drinking contest and there was a mile long bathroom. I see all the young ladies right here, beautiful restaurant here, Krabby's on the Pass. And let me just do a commercial real quick. A great place when they've got the great food, the great drinks. Come and see Amy. She's the best mixologist on the beach here at Krabby's on the Pass, but they've got the cleanest and most beautiful bathrooms. And that's just a microcosm of the entire establishment they got running out here. But I see it all the time. All those young ladies in line for the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm sorry, logistically, you guys y'all take a little bit longer or they don't address it as much. But the fact of the matter is, if anybody saw Ben Roethlisberger even walk into the women's room, it wasn't like Maverick and Top Gun. He wasn't going in there to, make a pass at Kelly McGillis. He
Mhm.
was going in there, boom. Same with the Deshaun Watson. When I heard these cases first, all I said was, look, if they've got paper that shows Deshaun or the team or somebody paid for these young therapists to fly from Atlanta into Dallas and then drove them in a caddy out to the 4-star hotel, whatever they were setting him up for his massage therapy, that's just a paper trail. So yeah, they actually suspended him. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was at least 2 games that Big Ben got for that back in the day, and that was just because he was accused of attacking a young lady. And there was no criminal charges, I
Yeah.
believe.
And the same with Deshaun right now. He's accused. There's no criminal charges as of yet, but
Right.
30 compared to 1. And shout out to Cyril Lobo. That's my uncle.
Oh, good. I appreciate that, Cyril.
big
Yeah.
big Buccaneer fan. Big Buccaneer fan.
Oh, I love it. Crossover coming in here. So let's get
Yeah.
back to the Dolphins. Talking about because Brian Flores had the Patriots number. And, sometimes coaches can get the teams. They know he knew that team, how that Patriots team was built. So it's easier for a coach maybe to game plan for it. But, he was 19-16 over 2 years. Looked like he had him going in the right direction. But what else was there that you did about Brian Flores? And I'm not saying you had a problem with him as the man, but Dolphins fans seemed to be okay when he was it just because you heard rumblings that he wasn't a team player, or he wasn't ready? And I'm not saying that you're about tampering or what have you, or was it just that you didn't like the offense the way it was going? You felt like you were going to waste with Tua, and even though you had a defensive-minded coach, why was it so easy for Dolphins fan to let Flores go and just see what was out there?
I think it's the inconsistency at offensive coordinator, the inconsistency on offense in general. Yeah, he
Right.
was great at defense, and as fans, we loved him for that. But we also hated the fact that he couldn't get the offense together. Two or not, he should have been able to do it. There's no reason why we shouldn't have had our offense together by year three. And I think the worst thing he did was fire Chan Gailey. Um, and he should have not have started Tua the first season. And
Oh,
whatever it may be, I've heard things. The coaches or the owners were trying to push Tua in. Flores wanted to see Tua fail. My whole thing on Tua is he should have never started that first season ever once. He should have learned, sat back, learned. But for some reason or another, they put him in. It just made no sense. Fitzpatrick was having a year, and we
yes.
started him. And what's his name? Our offensive coordinator didn't have an offense for Tua. He had it for Fitzpatrick, not Tua. So and then we get him out, and then we hire somebody else. That didn't work, and then we got two offensive coordinators last year, which was a whole big mess.
Yes.
And it's just too much inconsistency. Offensive line. Oh, offensive line coach last year was a rookie offensive line coach. That's why we were the worst offensive line in the
what,
league.
what you just to pop your fingers?
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, the
So
worst. By the way, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say the biggest thing with Flores was the offense. If he had an offensive coordinator there and our offense was decent, he'd probably still be here today, even with his little injuries. But he's not because he couldn't get it to go.
Right now, and let me ask you this about Brian Flores. Talk about the struggling with the offense. They get him out, and again, I forgot the guy's name again. The defensive coordinator you guys kept.
Dorsey, not Dorsey.
No, Fro. I got his name
You
right
think
here.
I
I'm
should
sorry.
know as a Dolphin fan. I'm having a brain fart right now.
No, I'm testing you, my friend, but I didn't
Thank
give you.
you,
Usually we do a little pre-meeting, but yeah, your coach is Josh Boyer.
Josh
Um,
Boyer. Oh,
yeah, definitely. What is it with you guys down there in Miami? I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick a couple of years back goes to Pittsburgh. You guys are, you've in the last couple of years, y'all have gotten rid of more Pro Bowl caliber players than you kept, and of course, you got draft picks in return. But what is it about the water there in South Beach? How are you guys able to continually to put talent on this Miami Dolphins football team? And is it going to be enough to take you guys to the top of the AFC East in 2022?
Chris Greer, the
Yeah, Chris
the
Greer,
former GM for the Oakland Raiders. I can't remember his name for the life of me right now.
Mike Mayock.
No, he's the other one. He, after Mike Mayock, I can't. Sorry, I apologize. I can't remember his name, but
I
he's
know
been
it is.
influential in getting draft picks for us. So I would say our GM and him are our biggest help. We're getting players still in. Javon Holland, Byron Jones from Texas,
Yes.
um, Xavier Howard, um, Noah Igbenogany. We'll see Trill Williams, finding a Trill Williams out of the scrap heap, and all of a sudden he's doing well as a second year corner. Finding these gems. Eric Ukunamanama, I literally destroyed his name right now, from Texas Tech. And the only reason we got him, I think, is because we have Wes Welker right now as our coach.
Yes, wide
Uh,
receiver coach.
but he's been doing great in preseason right now. Braylon Edwards, another undrafted receiver, has been lighting it up. So I would say that our GM and our scouting department has done a great job of continuing to get talent in. Now it's up to this new coach and Mike McDaniel to put it all together. And hopefully he does. Having Josh Boyer still there
Yes.
alleviates some stress on Mike McDaniel, where he can just focus on offense and getting Tua in that offense line where it needs to be. I mean, Austin Jackson's doing a ton better, doing a lot better this year because we actually have an offensive line coach who's been there,
Right.
has done that. Like he's been here,
Yes.
done it for years, instead of a rookie offensive line coach who never coached in the NFL level.
Are you guys ready to get? And I'm not dropping a gauntlet here again, but are you guys ready for this week's scrimmages to go up against this Buccaneers defensive line? I mentioned Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, the speed he brings in off the right side, but then Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, you got Akeem Hicks now in there, mixing it up with Roches and Golston. But I mean, the Buccaneers defensive line, if there's a unit on this team probably part of this is mixing me back to turn of the century here when we had the dogs on defensive line under Tony Dungy's defense. But they're hungry, and they're going to look to try to stifle you guys this week. It's going to be a pretty good matchup for that Dolphins offensive line to try to slow this Buccaneers defensive line down, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm nervous. Because we'll see. Because right now we're playing a good run defense in our own defense. So going against you guys, it should be similar, maybe a little bit tougher because I think you were number one rush defense last year.
Yeah.
So it'll be a different barometer for us to see where we're at running the ball with you two. Connor Williams is doing terrible at center right now. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. So I'm nervous to see what happens with his hikes, because if he can't get it together, we need to go get a JC Treader, go get some other center out there, because Connor Williams is one of the best left guards in the league, and yet we're having him at center right now.
You keep saying Treader, because that was one of when Ryan Jensen goes down with the injury. Still haven't heard the long-term prognosis on that. I said it. I'm gonna, maybe someone will message the show right here. Cyril Lobo also says, checking out, gentlemen. Good show. Go Bucs. Thank you, Cyril. Stop back by later. We'll do a shout out. Misador up in here says Bucs need Treader, because that's what I was talking to.
Yep.
That was the name on everyone's lips when Ryan Jensen goes down, before we realized that, you want that veteran, because that's the thing with the Buccaneers there this year, Rock, is when you got a new right guard, and when you got Kappa going to Cincinnati, you got a new right guard in Shaq Mason, and of course you had Ali Marpet retire, and you got a new left guard. Now you're bringing in a new center. But as much as I want to try to make that argument how important it is to protect Tom Brady, and it's important for all 32 teams to protect their first string or all their quarterbacks, I also would pose that as far as get them on the same page, quick release, someone who's going to get the most out of a young team. If you do go with a Hainsey at center and he gets that time, because the Bucs, he comes from Notre Dame. He was an offensive lineman. He got pressed into playing center at the Senior Bowl. He'd had a little bit of history playing center, but he impressed enough at the Senior Bowl that the Buccaneers bring him in here for that very reason, his versatility and for that offensive line depth. But something just tells me this kid's going to be okay, but I still haven't heard anything about the long-term prognosis on Ryan Jensen. And I said initially it felt like it was going to be like 6 weeks. I could be wrong. Maybe you can help me out here, because it was always we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait and see. We're gonna kind of. And to me, that's just they're all on the fence, thinking that you can't take an ACL lightly. But at the same time, this is barking dog Ryan Jensen we're talking about. That kid's gonna figure out a way to get back, even if he has to come limping back.
I would just be careful with that. Look what happened to Tannehill. He did that experimental procedure, and then coming back in training camp, and all of a sudden tore his ACL. Because of he didn't do it the right way, and
because you're if you got an injury here, we see it all the time. I see it on a daily. I got an injury here, so I put a little extra over here to compensate for that, and then boom, I end up with an injury over here, right?
Yeah, I would. Why is it that our NFL teams so hesitant to go out and get that player? Maybe something's going on with JC Treader, because it just doesn't make sense why no one's signed him yet. I thought for sure we were going to lose him out to you guys once I heard about your injury, because we've had issues with our center position. So it's like, when are they just going to, and they know more than we do, but still, it's like, as a fan, you're seeing something, you see it still not working, and yet you're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, and here I'll pose a conspiracy at you. J.C. Treader, I think he still is. At least he was the president of the
He still
National
is the
Football
president.
Players Association.
Yeah.
Maybe that cat's just too busy because they're getting ready to come at the NFL when they try to take a full season away from Deshaun Watson, and the NFLPA is going to step up and go, "Oh, hold on a minute here, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
There's some bats in the belfry on this whole situation with Daniel Snyder and Robert Kraft and Rich Dalrymple, and you guys are this and integrity of the shield, but you got Deshaun here and is never convicted. Again, predatory behavior. I need to see a couple of Hail Marys and an Our Father from Deshaun. I need to see him own it a little bit, even if he says, look, it looks like it did, and I can't believe I'm embarrassed the way it looked. My mother would be ashamed, whatever. Just own it a little bit there, Deshaun, because by not owning it, not only do you make me realize that you don't see anything wrong with what you did, and again, I know these players are like, don't look at me as a role model. You can't help it. You guys are role models. I'm not putting you up telling my son you act just like that cat, because that's also, as fathers, Rock, it's for us to do as well for our daughters and for our sons, and to say this is the example. But you got to own it a little bit. But also, if you're not owning it at all, then something just makes me believe that the same situation can happen again if it's not already happening. And that's the biggest shame in all of this.
Yep, I agree.
Misador says, Bucs need Treader. Me also says you need a dog at center. Treader is Janin-esque. I like that, Janin-esque. Misador, but Rock, if you haven't been on a show with me, you got to get on with that cat. I love me. Fun. He's got some great euphemisms. And me also has an update. I'm hearing 8 to 10 weeks, but they are still seeking better opinions. I mean, it's been 2 weeks. You want the swelling to come down, but wow, that almost sounds to me like that's the player. Like you said, you want to be careful with that Ryan Tannehill and that experimental procedure. I know Ryan wants to get back, just signed a new 3-year contract, wants to be there for Tom. He's probably still got powder caked up on the backside, just ready for Tom to get under center. But let's, at the end of the day, let's call it like it is. Either it needs to be addressed fully and you go on IR, or it's not. I don't see the Bucs, getting anything of value from keeping this, like they're holding him close to the vest, especially if Treader is one of your options, because you got a team like the Dolphins that may themselves find themselves wanting to bring in a Treader at center. And if that's the case, you better make that call. Yeah, I'm just rambling. By the way, before I get off on a beaten path here, last night, Teamwork X. Tell me about this. Tell us about it, because first of all, thank you for letting me be a part of it. I was touched by seeing these kids. We've seen them. They came in through they came in through Forbes. They come up through Broderick, and now they're at the teen center. You've been with these kids. We see them growing up, and you guys are providing a great example. Tell everyone out there about what you had going on last night, what that was, and why it's so important that we keep stuff like this in our community.
Yeah, it was actually at all of our centers. We had Skyview Rec Center. We had junior guards from there. We had Forbes Rec Center. We had Broderick Rec Center. We had Youth Park Rec Center, which is our preteens and teens. Yes. These are volunteers that have grown up at each one of these sites, whether it be at the pool, whether it be at our youth rec centers or our teen center. They've grown up with us, and they decide at one point or another that, you know what, I want to give back, and I want to help out each site. I want to help out my favorite camper or my favorite camp counselor, or I want to help out my favorite rec center. And they fill out the form and they decide that, hey, we're going to volunteer. Or if they want to go even bigger than that, we have the year-round program, which we help out within our community, the City of Palms Park. We pick up trash within our local parks. We pick up, we feed the homeless. We do camp food drives. We donate clothes to, preteens and teens in need during Christmas time, because during the Christmas time, a lot of times clothes and toys go to the little ones, but they forget about the teenagers. So we give out presents to them. We do all kinds of we help out with the garden boxes. We help out now at the agricultural farm that we're about to get. So there's a lot of things that our volunteers do throughout the city that we are appreciative of. And last night was a banquet to say thank you to all of them. And also to our past president, who has not only did a lot. Not only did she do a lot for her time with us, but she continued to do so even after her term. So we wanted to spotlight her and tell her thank you, which I almost teared up. I did tear up a little bit.
You did, and you have me going there too, brother, because I know exactly. And you know what? It was all good though, because that's from the heart, and that's why I was so touched to be able to be a part of it, my little way. But first of all, the food was fantastic, brother. So anytime you're gonna have a spread like that with the meatballs and the
Yeah.
pasta and everything, but no, but I mean, the
Well, I'm gonna
touching
shout
thing,
out BJ's real quick because I didn't shout him out that
please.
night, so I'll shout him out here. Thank you, BJ's.
Who knew that they could lock it down like that with with
Yep.
the different noodles and the
Yep.
spaghetti and the garlic knots? But oh, Tristan and I on the way home were like, oh, talking about those meatballs. It was fantastic. But just again, you talk about, I love the fact you talked about the teenagers, because we get so many families, and sometimes the teens are a little bit less nobody's really asking them, what did Santa bring for you? And they're like, oh, well, I'm like, whatever. And then we can take care of the younger kids. And I always end my shows with, everyone needs to know someone cares today. Be the one that lets them know. And this kind of goes right down an avenue, because you do it for the teenagers, because they may be the ones that don't ask. Lord knows they have wants, they have needs. They're just like any other kids, just like any other adults. But to be able to put the emphasis on that and make sure we take care of them at the Christmas. But you're taking kids in our community and not just keeping them, I say, off the streets, like the mean streets of Pinellas Park, not at all. But you're giving them an opportunity to feel how good it feels to give back, to volunteer. My daughter was a junior lifeguard. She loved to be able to be involved, because we're teaching them responsibility. We're teaching them kindness. And so I wanted to just, in a minute here, while at the end of the show, I want to get back to the Dolphins and Bucs talk, but I wanted to say hats off to you, brother, for putting that together. It was a fantastic evening.
Thank you.
Oh, brother, thank you. So before we get off the air here, wrapping it up again, what are you looking as a Dolphins fan toward and we've already kind of covered all the bits and pieces, but just overall, first year of Mike McDaniel coming in here. This is the first trip they're making as a team. They're coming up 75 here in a couple of days here for a couple of days of practice with the Bucs. What's Dolphins fans looking at for this couple of days of scrimmage here, Rock?
Tua, number one.
Yes.
Would be the first thing I think we're all looking
Leadership. Hey, does he get to see this year? Does Tua get that C on that?
Oh
jersey
yeah, he's getting to see this year.
Good.
There's no doubt about it. He's getting it this year. He didn't want it. Supposedly he didn't want it because he'd have to be in meetings with Brian Flores all the time. So he's like, no.
There was really, hold on a minute. So before I get back, there was really because it seemed when Brian Flores doesn't take the meeting with Tom Brady, I just assumed that he was Team Tua. There was real animosity there from what we gather between.
He wanted Jordan Love.
Wow. He wanted Jordan Love.
Supposedly, that's what he wanted.
Well, Stephen Ross wanted to tank more so they could get Burrow. Yep. Tua ends up coming in. Of course, at the very last hour, it's tank for Tua. Everyone looking for a little rhyme, no reason. I did not realize that there was true animosity between Flores and Tua. And I bought the narrative that Tua, because no one ever wants to say they're not ready. I thought maybe Tua felt that he wasn't yet ready to put that C on his jersey. But, it could have been a little bit of both, but more likely not. Just didn't want to be in those meetings with Flores.
No, and a lot of other of our captains last year weren't big names. You didn't see Xavier Howard. You didn't see Christian Wilkins. You didn't see Jerome Baker. You saw all of our special teamers. So I take a little of that with salt.
Wow. So it sounds like there was a vacuum in leadership at the top. And
no one wanted to. I don't know, but that's past. But right now,
it's all good now. Yeah,
it's all good now. I would say our number one's Tua. See how he does with his ball placement against your secondary. I would say our second and actually can be 1A or 1B because that's Tua's 1A is the offensive line versus your defensive line. I want to see matchups against Tristan Wirfs, or not Tristan Wirfs. I wish we had him. Austin Jarrett. Austin Jackson versus Shaq Barrett. I want to see Connor Williams versus Vita Vea. I want to see Teron maybe not Teron Armstead. I know what he's going to do. Robert Hunt versus whoever else your defensive line, Hakeem Nicks. So our offensive line versus your D line. I want to see our defensive line versus your offensive line because I know you have 3 new offensive linemen, like 1 in center and the 2 guards. So I'd love to see our interior versus your interior. So that'll be fun to watch. So defense, both sides of the ball for both of us. I would love to see. And I know what we're gonna get at Tom Brady, so I'm not too worried. He's gonna be the GOAT. He's gonna do his thing. So I'm not too worried about Tom Brady versus us secondary. I think actually our secondary is gonna give you guys some fits. But I could
I think with the receivers, I mean, we're going to run these receivers, these stick routes, and we're going to kind of shake it up a little bit. Obviously, even though we're scrimmaging and it's not out there, in the stadium with all the bright lights, you're still going to be a little bit, you're not bringing you're not bringing out the whole Megillah, you're running some basic vanilla routes and stuff, but you're working on concepts, right?
Yeah, I guess one more thing would be Tyreek Hill versus
Antoine Winfield Jr.,
Antoine
baby.
Winfield Jr. And
I know you're going to.
I know we talked about the AB or before, but I think you'll probably see that in probably training camp. Tyreek wants payback. You don't think that's in his head?
See some of this too.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, if you haven't checked out Tyreek Hill, and I'm saying this in a just a football sense, that man's got some huge biceps. I didn't think.
Are you kidding me?
The guy's huge.
He's like a muscle. He's muscle
Hancer 2.0.
Oh, on roids. He's like the shellfish here in the bay, like one of them clams opens up, just a big muscle. Yeah. I mean, that kid is stacked.
I didn't think he was that big. I thought, he's a smaller guy, but he's just quick. No, I understand why he's one of the top receivers.
Yeah, the way he runs, the speed. I'll tell you what, as Buccaneers fans, what I'm looking for this week is, I'll tell you what as a Bucs fan looking at the outside, because, I got a little love for the Dolphins, always had since 72. I wasn't around, I was 3. But I'm looking for that Tua leadership. I want to see him stepping up and stepping out, and taking it over because – now that you mention it, there really was a vacuum in leadership with this Dolphins team. Going back a couple of years when Fitzpatrick's just winging the ball on 4th down as he's getting his face ripped off, everything was like, let's just see what happens. The defense had it. So I want to see that leadership. In Tua. The Dolphins are going to try to set up that running game. They're going to try to set up that running game to set up that short passing game. So on the other side, for Bucs fans, I'm really looking for our line again. I need Devin White. I want to see Devin step up because a lot of these teams we face this year, well, all the teams these days are going to pass happy, but a lot of these teams rely on those receptions, those receivers across the middle, and those short dump routes and out of the backfield. And that's where, while the defensive line's putting that pressure on and the secondary is, not running a zero blitz and making sure we don't get a receiver down wide open down the field, we're going to rely on that. So I'm looking for that Buccaneers linebackers and how we react to this offense, this Miami Dolphins, this Mike McDaniel offense. Looking for our secondary to step it up a little more communications with Keanu Neal, bringing in Logan Hall. You're going to look for a little more veteran leadership back there, and it's not just like we're bringing, Richard Sherman in last second or what have you. And then basically just for the Bucs, even though this doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but right now, I don't know if you know, one of the hottest contests in camp seems to be between Jose Borregales, the former Miami University, the U Hurricane, and Ryan Suckup, the incumbent kicker there. That's going to be a pretty hot competition. So teams getting out, set up, kick the extra points. We're running it against a live team, so it's going to give us a little more of an idea of how that kicking game competition is going. But other than that, I just want to see a couple of good days of injury-free scrimmage, good quotes, and let's get it on Saturday night, my friend. Oh, I was just talking to myself. I think I lost Rock. I'm going to go live for a second. So that was basically my wrap-up, except I was talking to nobody. Oh, wait. Oh, he lost. So, yeah, I'm always excited. Again, we started the show off by talking about the fact that these scrimmages, when the teams come to town, coaches, of course, you're going to have Mike McDaniel talking to Todd Bowles. They're going to work on concepts. They're going to have Byron Leftwich talking, trying to get certain specific matchups. And as we make the tough decisions in camp, because it's only the first week of 3 preseason games. You got to make these tough decisions. So we're going to see the receivers that are going to step up, get that offensive line sewn up. Is Treader a possibility out there? Because we find out this week against Miami that maybe we're not where we thought we were coming along with that offensive line, or when they finally get that, what's going on there with Ryan Jensen. Let me get a couple of comments. Oh, Cyril back in here. Cyril says Shaq Mason rock, 100%. Oh, let me see if this cat's ready to come back in. Hey, I was preaching to myself for a minute there, but I'm glad you're able to jump back in with me, my friend. So, yeah.
Died.
Oh, was it bad? Was it the battery?
Yeah, I thought I had enough time, and I didn't. Sorry.
There's never enough time, Ron.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying.
Shaq Mason.
Shaq Mason? That's a joke, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Shaq Mason's our right guard, played with Tom in New England.
Oh, that's what I was talking. Oh, yeah, he did
our
start
right guard.
Yeah.
Shaq Mason. I'm sorry, you were talking about the matchup. That's what Cyril's talking about. I was lost on that one. But I was saying, Rock, that Just want to see a couple of days of injury-free matchups where the coaches, McDaniel and Bowles, can both get good looks at these players because, there's 90 players in camp right now. Got to get it down to 53 plus that extended practice squad, wherever that still looks like these post-pandemic days or what have you. But, we're going to get some good quotes. I hope that the media, me being a member of myself, but I would hope that we're not going to waste too much time asking questions, ad nauseum questions about, so do you think Stephen Ross actually had a scheduled meeting with Tom? Or, it is what it is. You're going to have to address it a little bit. It's like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. But really, when it comes down to it, this week here with the Dolphins in town, it's all about evaluating, getting on the same page, and making the right decisions as we get toward the 2022 season.
Yep. As the media, I would let them know, frozen, let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Us as fans, we want to know about matchups. We want to know about the
Yep.
players. We don't care about the owners anymore. We don't, honestly, I could have give two flips about Stephen Ross and all that right about now, because we're so, maybe in the off season, if we're further out, I'm like, why are we doing this? But not now. I'm like, no. We're in training camp. I've been watching everything we've been doing, football player wise. I don't care too much about Stephen Ross and all that crap. Like, let's
It's already
go.
done.
Yeah.
It's done. And why? And who gets that first round? I mean, obviously the Bucs don't get a first round, and New England gets a third, or vice versa. It just goes back into the pot. Don't like it. I don't like it. Ross is still going to make his money on concessions and parking, and he's still going to put a team on the field. And you're talking about just, you're trying to make a statement. Owners shouldn't try to recruit. Don't like the punishment. Hit him where it hurts. Hit him in the pocketbook. But, oh, yeah, that's right. Roger Goodell works for who, Rock?
The owners.
The owners. Hey, let me also tell you this. So I said a 6 game. I said at first I thought Deshaun would be an 8 game, but it comes in at 6. We've postulated the whole season. But I'll tell you this right now. If they do give Deshaun a 10-game suspension, which it could jump from 4 to 10. If they can't get 17, they might just meet him in the middle and say 10. I got a little synopsis for you. Buccaneers at Cleveland, week 11, after the bye week. That would be the week 11 game for those Cleveland Browns. And let me tell you, Rock, you guys might not be able to take care of them, but we'll take care of them for you, my friends.
Oh, that was that's probably their best bet to do it that way. Honestly, 10 games, then a bye, and then you got. I would watch that game.
Yeah, 100%. Every Bucs fan watching out here on Bucs Report will be watching that game. But you talk about Vegas, the money they announce. I'll tell you what, if the NFL came out today and said, "Look, the Browns are coming," Deshaun, we've appealed it, we've reappealed it, we've unappealed it like a banana. We all peeled it. We're going to bring them back week 11, and you got the Buccaneers. It's after, of course, they travel out to Munich to play Seattle there, the 2 weeks before. But then they have a bye week. Then the Buccaneers travel to Cleveland. I guarantee you, if they announced today that would be the return of Deshaun Watson's, you'd have people lining up at sports books all over and in Vegas dropping their bets on this and that, right? They're like, okay, we got to do this. So that would be something.
Is it during that? Is that closer to the time where they can flex games too? Like I would assume that would be.
Flex that game to a prime time. Oh, but you know what? That would almost be too much, because let me tell you why. First of all, kind of the thing I've not liked. Well, you talked about not right for fans. So many people were hurt by Deshaun Watson. I was hurt, not hurt, like physically hurt. I was sickened when Cleveland gives him the $230 million guaranteed contract, and then they structure it so that if he serves a 6-game suspension, for example, he only loses $300,000 because they gave him a $70 billion signing bonus, and they're paying him $17 and a pound of famous Jameis crab legs per week this season.
Yeah.
So they structured it so as to not hit him. So, I would pose that they should have hit him with the if they would have structured that contract where he's making $2 million a game, they could have taken the $2 million a game from those 8 or 10 games and given that money to a crisis hotline or an abusive shelter, or people that are victims of sexual and or domestic abuse. But instead, they didn't do it that way. I was sickened when they did that. But as much as the Cleveland Brown fans, they got to be feeling, we gave away 73 first-round draft picks, and we've, sold the future for this cat. And he's still a pretty good football player. Fans have still been packing both sides of the street and at the gate trying to get that kid's autograph as he's coming. Get that guy's autograph when he's coming off the field. That's just the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah,
National Football League knows it. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are Roman gladiators. I'll go back to it. I think I've said it before. doesn't matter what they do. At the end of the day, some of these sports fans, they look past all of those things. They don't care. They see their logo and they want their logo to win. Me as a Dolphin fan, Tyreek Hill did some stupid stuff back in
Yes, he did.
he paid whatever he needed to pay for. Nothing came of it. Everything got dropped, but I'm sure something happened. But at the end of the day, I'm a Dolphin fan. I would love to see my team win, as long as he doesn't kill somebody like a Ray Lewis. But I mean, never
Oh
mind.
no, you did not just go there. Or what did Kareem Hunt do again? Was it a domestic with his girlfriend at the time when he was in Kansas
Here's
City?
another. Yeah, and talking about Kareem Hunt,
He's in Cleveland.
he's looking for money though. He wants to get out. He wants to be traded now.
And I remember as Bucs fans, when Kareem Hunt, while it was going down with Kareem Hunt, and it was like, he was radioactive. Nobody wanted to touch him, but you have to pose the question. But what if he was to become a Buccaneer? We were looking for a running game. We were going through the Doug Martin and the injuries and the PEDs, and we didn't know where we were going. So as a sports fan, I'm not poo-pooing on Cleveland fan. Although this stupid brownie thing, that stupid little devil, whatever that thing is, the little brownie that it's all this Deshaun wears now. That's for me, since that's all I've ever seen this season. It's like a thing. It's like a character from the past. Whenever I see that brownie now, I think of the brownie laying down on a table, with a towel across his bum. It's just spooky. They got to do away with that. I saw the Cleveland Brown, their replacement helmets. Have you seen that meme yet? It's terrible.
No, I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, it's basically a massage table, and somebody's like down like this. It's a little logo.
No.
I get it. I'm not poo-pooing on Brown fans for wanting to still be part of that team. And at the end of the day, the irony in all this is until we realize, or until we choose to get the chutzpah to the tail wag the dog, because really when it comes down to it, the strongest person in all of these instances are we, the fans, right?
Yeah.
Advertising, sportsbook, tickets, concessions, everything you depend on is from us to you. And that's why I always say, give us cheap receipts, give us deals. If you're getting money at the sports book, you're getting great money. You're getting $1 billion in television revenue. You're getting kickbacks and this and that. All of it's on the up and up. At the end of the day, why are you charging a family of four $1,000 to go see a game? It's, make it so that people can go see the games. Make it so that the fans that are in attendance, because here's the thing, Rock, and I'm going over. I'm sorry about this. I'll let you go, brother. Thanks again for joining me today.
I'm having fun time with you.
Oh, brother, thank you. That's the first time I've heard that since yesterday. No, but you put the Bucs versus the Miami Dolphins, right? It's a regular season game. Go back to 2020 during COVID when they were just piping some noise in there, and we still watched because the product was, it was a great game. It was, the Bucs versus the Dolphins. But now put them in a 70,000 seat packed stadium with the drama and the noise and the everybody hanging on every play and everything, the drama. At the end of the day, that drama that fans provide, as well as that money, but you need us, NFL. So when you make your decision on a Deshaun Watson, when you make your decision in the future on a Rich Dalrymple, or even you choose to actually enforce things instead of it being a $1.4 million settlement and just let the girls at the table leave, or them and their spouses take it or leave it, remember, at the end of the day, it's about us. So you better make sure you're making the right decision for us. And then we got to remember that we do hold some of that control. So, we'll figure out a good way to level that control, my friend.
I think it all depends on the fans, though. It has to come down to us really wanting to say, we're not going to go to the games anymore. But I don't see that happen. It's don't.
Tough.
It's just too many people can look past that. Too many people, and that's what. Too many people look at the logo instead of the person. And I think some of the players take offense to that, but it's true. They understand that you won't be there tomorrow, most likely. So they're still going to be a fan of that logo instead of you. There's certain players that you're still a fan of them because they wore that logo, but at the end of the day, you're a fan of that logo and that logo alone. So they can look past a Deshaun Watson thing if it can go away. A lot of the fans were like, "Oh no, he can come back week 1," and it's like, do you not know what he just did? But you don't care because he plays for your team and your logo. And at the end of the day, if it helps you win and you get to be a part of a Super Bowl championship, you'll look the other way.
Wow.
with
Good
the
point,
other
my
one.
friend. Hey, any predictions for next Saturday night? Any, I mean, it's
Um,
tough to bet, tough to pick a score, maybe a parlay bet. You got any, put a couple of
I'll
things together?
say 30-21 Dolphins win, just
Oh,
because we got
okay.
Teddy Bridgewater as our
Teddy
backup.
B, get the Bridgewater in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Teddy
Um,
B.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. I almost thought, oh, they had to get rid of Fitzpatrick but it's Tua's team. He's going to get to
Yeah.
see. Tua's ready to step into that lead. I think that you get Mike McDaniel realizes you got this incredible talent, the kid from Alabama. He's ready to go.
Can I ask you a question real quick before we go?
Sure, please.
Who's going to win the second quarterback position? Is it going to be Trask or is it going to be that one guy? I keep
It's
on
going to
forgetting
be
his name.
Blaine Gabbert. Yeah, it's
Uh,
Blaine.
uh,
He knows the offense. Here's the thing. I haven't seen anything. We heard that Trask gets so many more reps with Tom out, and I
mm,
posed that, man, if Kyle Trask could win this battle out of camp, that would be the cat's meow. It'd be like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, the kid from Florida, the second round pick, he's ready to go, and I still think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback. He's going to have his chance. But Blaine knows this system. I think that's why Clyde Christensen said 2 months ago that Kyle's looking at a redshirt year. He was trying to let people know that because it's such a complicated offense and Blaine's actually had some live under fire round reps. But believe it or not, I was going to give you my prediction for next Saturday night. Kyle Trask throws 2 touchdowns next Saturday night. That's my
Nice.
bold prediction. And Blaine's going to start. He'll probably get the first half or at least the first quarter. Probably the first half, since TB is going to just be basically street clothing it if it's even there, which he should be because he's a team player. But I see Kyle Trask coming in, and I think he's going to be able to, because we saw a little bit of him. We saw very, very, very
Mhm.
small sample size last preseason. We're going to see more of it.
So
But boy,
hypothetically, though, like if say Tom Brady never came back, then my question to you would have been, who would there have been? Would Trask still have a red shirt this year?
oh no,
That's what.
if
Uh-huh.
yeah, Kyle Trask. Well, Kyle Trask you still would have had possibly Blaine Gabbert would have gotten paid more because the
Yeah,
Bucs would have wanted him to come in and have a true quarterback competition. You probably don't re-sign Ryan Jensen. I mean, you don't. It's not that we
no,
didn't want Ryan
it'd probably
Jensen.
be
It's
the
just that,
Dolphins.
yeah. Ooh, there you go, man. You guys, and I'm glad we got him, and I'm glad we still have him for 2 more years. Hopefully that we get an evaluation on that ACL and he comes back good. But yeah, put Ryan Jensen down there, the dog, because Lord knows he's already got the humidity thing down. Ain't nothing better than when that ginger gets pissed and turns red, man.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
tell
I
you what,
wanted him.
world better look out for Ryan Jensen on the warpath. But yeah, brother. I tell you what. Thank you. We could do this again. Let's do this
Yeah,
again. I definitely want, because I'm still holding out. You and I, we kid around about this on the daily. I'm still holding out for an all Florida Super Bowl out there in Arizona, 57. Wouldn't that be the cat's meow if you had a West Coast Super Bowl, but it's the 2
I'm,
teams from the state of Florida?
I'm down with that.
I would
If
take it.
you have time, I'd like to maybe if you want to start talking about training tips, if that's okay with you. If you want to do something, we
Training
could talk.
what?
Training camp.
I'll
Like,
tell you what. Let's do this. Play a game with me real quick.
okay,
This is something I wanted to do. And Coach Slick Probert, he has our show on Saturday nights, Buck Wild, and he joined me last week.
okay.
Training camps are famous for what? They're famous for those one-liners. Every year we remash the same things over and over again. And maybe someone out there can comment on this because I'm going to start this off slow. Give me your best training camp statement. And I'll give you one, for example. I'll start it off easy. Right now, we're just all trying to get on the same page. We hear it every camp. We hear it across the entire camp. Let me read this comment from Ben Cornett real quick, and then I'll get one from you, Rock. Ben Cornett says, question, will be which press box will Tom Brady be sitting next Saturday night? Laughing out loud. And that came in on the YouTube, Ben. Appreciate you. Ben Cornett
That's
says,
funny.
and Ben also says, I myself prefer the dog's bark over the cat's meow, Ray. Just saying. I love Ben Cornett. Go ahead, Rock. Give me one of yours. I already gave. We're all just trying to get on the same page. Give me one.
Man, I'm tired of playing against X. I'm ready to play against somebody else.
I'm ready to hit. We're just happy to be hitting someone else across the. I'm staring
Yeah,
across the line at someone different this time.
he keeps on locking me down. I want to play against somebody else.
And I said that because it's only been in pads for a full week. But yeah,
Yep.
I mean, let's see. How about another one? Is give you one from Tom Brady's presser last week. We're just trying to get better every day. you don't want to take one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. So you just want to get a little bit better every single day. And I lost Rock. Oh, there he is.
I'm still here. Still here.
Okay, brother. All right. Did you hear that one? We're just
I
trying
did
to
not.
get better. We're just trying to get better every single day.
Top balls.
Oh, that was Tom Brady.
Oh, dang it.
Because Tom said, he said it last week in his presser. He says, look, you don't want to take one step forward, two steps back, and then one step forward and two steps back. We're just trying to get a little bit better every single day.
Yeah.
Come on, finish. Slap me with a good one here, and then we can move on to some training camp talk.
I got a brain fart right now. I'm just trying to go over my plays. We're just trying to learn the plays right now. We're just trying to get through it right now. Every day is something different. Every day something new.
Every day something different. We're gonna push forward. You're just throwing a bunch of them at me now.
Yeah.
How about? Let me see if I got any comments in here. No, I don't. So that's okay. How about? You know what? We're trying to be responsible for the man next to. I know I got nothing. Okay, go ahead. Tell me about. Okay, I lose. Tell me about training camp.
Now I got to start studying it. I got to start studying that now so I can play this game.
Training camp quotes. I get the I get the Bucs press quotes every day, and so that always that's like one of my the next day my top reading thing is to go back. I love because you could tell. We talked about how we'd like to get a look at those scrimmages this week if it was going to be televised, and we'll get bits and pieces of it and stuff. And on the news, they seem like they keep them for their Dan Le Batards or what have.
I'm still here. You froze, but I'm still here.
Have you so they can do their thing? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Actually, I'm the one that's got to let you go because I'm actually running out of time here. That's what that is. That's why I'm losing you. But let's get together again.
All right.
In fact, you know what we should do? Maybe tentatively plan. Maybe can we do this for next Sunday? We can talk about the week that was and cover some of those matchups and some of those things. Some of the things that you found positive. Some of the things that I find positive.
Yeah, let's do something. If you're down for it, I'm down for it.
I'm always down for it. And again, thanks for letting me come, including me last night, brother. My son, we had a great time. And you know what? I talked about the kids there with the Team X and Teamworks and getting involved. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing that with my son, because it's a chance for him to get involved. And he also sees a great example, not just from you and your staff or all of our staff in the recreation divisions, but from the kids and the volunteering and stuff like that. And that rubs off, brother. That rubs off, and that's the good stuff.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. So we're tentatively scheduled for next Sunday to cover the Saturday night game. So make sure you tell your friends. In fact, why don't we see if we can do something live? If we can go live, I got the soundboard. We'll hook it up and do the live in-person mics. I'll get Chris from here, the general manager at Krabby's on the Pass, to set us up with a nice breakfast and a view of the water. It was great. Right, you're going to love this, Dolphins fans, because we have quite a few Dolphins fans watching. That as I got here to come out and set up, I saw the whole pod of Dolphins coming through here. They come through here and feed at the Johns Pass Bridge. That's not a good sign. Get out of here, Rock. All right, brother. Take care now. I'll talk to you.
See you.
See ya. Hey, everybody. So thanks for joining me. We didn't get a whole lot of comments, but again, so it's scrimmage week. Again, no injuries. Let's just keep it clean, but let's get some great matchups. We got some great. When the Buccaneers look across the line at their in-state Florida brethren, they're the Miami Dolphins. There's some good talent over there that's going to give the Buccaneers some really good challenges as far as, matchups and learning the system, the rookies, seeing what a Hainsey's doing there at center, seeing what our Cade Otten or O'Keefe, and maybe, again, putting Borgalis under pressure or letting Ryan come through like he has in the past, Mr. Irrelevant. So, again, let's see here. Yep, that's going to be it. You guys know I'm going to go ahead and say it again, even though I already have. Everyone needs to know someone cares this Sunday. Why don't you be the one to let them know? Have a great weekend. Now, I guess you're going to join us next Sunday for the Bucs Dolphins preseason wrap-up here on Bucs Report. Have a great day, everybody.